In the history of sports, no one ever played their game at world-class levels longer than the amazing and incredible Sam Snead. 32 years after winning his first PGA championship in 1942, Snead almost won it again, finishing third behind a couple of kids named Trevino and Nicholas. He was a major factor in the early days of the tour, and an equally major factor in the early days of the senior tour nearly 50 years later. He played against and beat generations of great golfers, names like Jones, Sarrazin, Hogan, Nelson, Gouldall, Demerit, Palmer, Casper, Nicholas, and Player. He taught himself the game in the mountains of Virginia. He made his first clubs from maple limbs and left bark on one end to grip the club securely. Balls were hard to find, and Sam learned to draw the ball because the right side of the pasture behind the Snead home drained poorly, and a sliced ball could be lost forever. He built his swing through trial and error, and he played by feel. He assembled a list of swing keys which he still uses today at age 84. Sam discovered that a swing that used 80 to 90% of his power was more effective than a more aggressive hit. He won more PGA Tour events than any man who ever played the game. His swing may be as attractive and pleasing as anyone who ever swung a golf club, and was every bit as effective as it was beautiful. He's a legend, a superstar, an American institution, and a great teller of stories. Here's some of them tonight when you meet Sam Snead on Golf Talk Live. The following is an encore presentation of Golf Talk Live. Great to see you, my friend.
Thanks, Peter.
I want to welcome everybody to Golf Talk Live. I'm Peter Kessler. This, of course, the great Sam Snead. How you playing?
Lousy.
Tell me about it. What are you shooting?
Anywhere from A to B.
A to B.
It's the A to B.
You still have a flock of pigeons that you're fleecing these days?
Well, you know, I've lost almost all my pigeons. Bruce Forbes was my favorite pigeon.
That's Malcolm's brother, right?
Brother. Yeah, we'd have about 800 going every day. We played. And you know what he called me? Pidge. He'd call and say, hey, Pidge, what time we going? I said, as soon as you get here, we got a starting time? I said, a standing one.
He was the pigeon. Hey, is it true that when you and your brother Homer were boys, that you used to make your first golf clubs by cutting down the limbs of the swamp maples?
Well, that ended up the best club. But when I was a kid, we had chestnut trees then. And as you cut a tree down, especially if it's a large one, then it'd have sprouts going up all around it. So you could go just kick one off, take a hatchet and put a little more loft on it, and you could try to be fancy, take all the bark, but about 12 inches, that's the grip. We left that for the grip.
Do you remember the year that you won the Masters, the last time in '54, that you went back to Old White that summer and made another maple limb swamp golf club and went around Old White in '76 with that club and a wedge?
That's right. How'd you know that?
You told me that once. Tell me about that. How'd you putt? What'd you putt with, the wedge or the
wedge.
76.
You hit it right at the equator with the sole, and you could roll pretty good.
All the guys are doing that today from the fringe.
Fringe,
right?
They're doing that a lot.
When you used to play a lot of match play events, like the PGA, for example, do you miss that isn't around anymore and that all the tournaments were stroke play? Wasn't it a lot of fun to have the match play events?
It was, but they finally found out when you had two finalists that weren't hardly heard of. Then maybe 200 people would show up for the finals.
And nobody'd watch it on television.
No, and so they decided that's gone. So I don't blame them.
Now, it was said that when you were a kid that, like Walter Hagen, you liked to fool around with clothes on your mom's sewing machine, and that she thought you were going to be a tailor at one point, right?
Oh, sure. I'd take up pants and I could put French cuffs on them, and I could take up, put a new collar on it. Oh, I thought I was the whiz come to the mowing machine, and it scared my mother to death. But I was very careful.
What'd your mom and dad think about your playing golf and your fame when it came?
You know, they never said anything about that. I said to my mother one time when I came home, I said, Mom, did you ever think I'd ever amount to anything? Well, yes. You were always doing something. You were doing something all the time. And God love her, very strict. When she said, don't do that, we didn't do that. What, kids, well, I got to have, well, I'm not at my house, there wasn't any talk back.
What about your dad? Was he softer than Mom?
Little more so, but everything you want to know or ask for, we went to Mom. She had several people come to her, ask her about different deals and things. Her brother said to her, he was the head carpenter for the Virginia Hot Springs Company. And they left it up to him to make the stairwell in the tower. And he came home, he was staying at home at that time. He said, Laura, I'm at a Quincy. I don't know what to do about this stairwell. They left it up to me. She said, Ed, go to bed, sleep on it. You'll find out. You'll think of something. Came down the next morning, said, I got her. Went in, built the stairwell.
Smart lady. How'd your mom call all of the boys in at the end of the day for dinner? How'd she find all of you?
Well, actually, when I grew up to, well, any kind of an age, might say 10, 12 years old, weren't too many of us at home. And I was the youngest. My brother next to me, Welford, they called him Pete. He's 3 years older, and Homer was 12 years older. And I used to chase balls for him, have to go over 3 or 4 fences and 2 or 3 fields.
Homer was a big hitter, though, right?
Oh, he was. He could have played on the tour. He was very good. But my mom said, son, you're going to have to look out after Homer. I said, look out after Homer? Well, he went around the world twice. And, well, he had a couple of patents that it didn't quite get through, but would have made a lot of money.
But you were great friends, weren't you?
Well, he and I were the closest of the 6, one sister.
Is it true he used to hit it 300 yards with that maple club?
Oh, he never hit one with the maple club.
Oh.
I'm the only one who used the maple club.
Hey, you can tell me more about that. We're going to take a little break. We will come right back with Sam Snead right after this. Don't go away. Sam, when you were a kid, was it hard to have idols? I mean, there was no television, there wasn't radio, there was paper. How did you, if you had any, develop idols in those days?
I saw very few, no TV then, very little radio. And hey, it took me a long time to go to Hot Springs.
Now, did you know, for example, in the 20s, when you were, you were a teenager, did you know what Jones and Hagen and Sarrazin were up to?
Not really. You didn't hear them, just read about them. And after I got grown, I would try to see people, and I would try to emulate those. And I do well for a little bit, but I have to go back to my own way. And I think that's the best way to go. This thing for kids coming up today, they get there pretty quick and doing great. Well, they got there that way, and all of a sudden, they take on somebody that can't break 80. And how in the world can they tell you what it feels like, or anything else for that matter? And they're trying to substitute something else. And first thing you know, they're going the opposite way. If I were going to learn to play golf, I would go to somebody that has done it or can do it. Now, he knows. Well, now I've watched a lot of kids teach, and they have a good give, so to speak, what they read and what they heard, and this, that, and the other. But you've got to go with the person. I taught when in 1936 at the Greenbrier, had an awful lot of lessons, and they only had one shot at them.
That was the year you won your first tournament.
Well, it's
First pro tournament.
well, that was in West Virginia, yes. I learned an awful lot watching different people, and some could do something. I had a guy here a month ago, wanted to take a lesson, said, I like that Snead squat. And I said, why would you want the Snead squat? He said, well, I said, hey, you didn't get where you are with the Snead squat. I said, why don't you do it your way?
People have been trying to copy that for 60 years, though, Sam. We're going to go ahead and talk to one of our viewers who's with us. We've got Jay in New York. Hello, Jay.
Hello, Peter. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Mr. Sam, marvelous to talk to you.
Thank you.
Peter, we need Golf Talk Live on more than once a week.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Sam, I had used to get to your marvelous golf club out there in White Sulphur Springs each spring. I would go down each spring for 5 days, walk around, play 54 holes a day. You got a lovely golf course, but that isn't what I remember about you. What I remember is either 1 year and then the following year, or 2 years consecutively, yourself and Julius Boros played at the Forest Gate Country Club in Jamesburg, New Jersey. You used to appear there and you'd play a couple of the Jersey pros. And before those games that you put on, that we would walk around with you guys, you put on a hitting exhibition each of those 2 years that I saw you, that I never saw anyone else do before or since. And I'd like to know if you still do it.
What's your name?
Jay Allen, and I'm in Saratoga Springs, Mr. Sam. But Peter, Mr. Sam used to stand there and start with a 7-iron and progress from a 7 to a 5 to a 3 and hit the ball to a young boy who was standing out in the fairway, and he would hit the ball into the basket that the boy had in front of him.
Oh, boy,
and
that's
then,
getting better.
as a finale, Sam would hit one left and one right, and then the boy would turn around and he'd catch it behind his back.
You know,
Sam, does he still do that?
I don't have anybody with a basket anymore.
I have a basket, and the reason, of course, that he was so good at that is this is the only fellow who's made a hole-in-one with every single club in the golf bag. So if he can knock it in the 4 1/4-inch hole, he can certainly knock it in a peach basket.
Those were lovely days.
Hey, they're still lovely days. You're still beating all those guys. You just won't tell anybody what you shot anymore. When did you decide, of all the sports that you were great at basketball, you were great at baseball, what made you decide to go professional golfer? Because that was the least money of the three at the time, wasn't it?
Well, actually, at that time, we were a small school. And we had 3 substitutes in football, not very many in basketball. And I decided I wanted to do something my way and not have to depend on somebody else to come in and help. And my coach, Harold Bell, he said to me, we went to 2 or 3 colleges I could have gone on a scholarship. And he said, why don't you take up golf? I think it's your own, and you'd be much further ahead if you went to play football or baseball or basketball or tennis or golf. And I thought about that, and I got the job there at the homestead as club maker. I put wooden shafts and iron heads, and you'd have to trim them down. You'd have to feel them to get the right flex. Some would be larger than the others, and they'd say, hey, this is a lot bigger than that one. I said, well, that one isn't as strong as the other one, so you want the same feel in every one of them. Well, I got to the point where I could tell you right to the half point what the club swung, how heavy it was.
They used to say that Bobby Jones's clubs in the 20s, which were all hickory shafts, that he picked them all out. They were all perfect except the 8-iron, and he always had trouble with the 8-iron. And when they finally invented the machine in 1930 to figure out what the swing weight was, that was the one that was a little off.
Huh.
That happened to you?
I had one club, a 7-iron. I'd hook that thing. I wouldn't hook anything else. I bent it, I beat it, and I did everything possible. Well, I'm going to teach you a lesson. But I'd always hook with that club. So I thought, well, I've had enough of this, so I got a new set. And I never thought it was right if one club in your bag, there was one that you couldn't play. I tried to keep all of my clubs more or less pretty even.
The problem is, for the rest of us, we can't play any of them worth darn. We're going to take a short break, Sam. We'll be right back. Don't you go away, and don't you go away.
In 1949, Sam Snead arrived in Augusta, Georgia, hot off a playoff victory in the Greensboro Open, a tournament that he would go on to win 8 times. He felt he was on his way back to curing a puzzling ailment called the yips, or as they say in Great Britain, the twitches. And what other place can test you more than Augusta National? The gallery warmed to the great Virginia native as he made a final round charge, shot a brilliant 67, and won by 3 strokes to claim his first of 3 green jackets. After his victory, he received a congratulatory phone call from a recovering Ben Hogan. In 1952, despite hitting his tee shot into the water on the famed par 3 12th hole in the final round, he would once again win the Masters. It was his 6th of 7 major championships. Unless, of course, next year, the 84-year-old youngster decides to give it one more shot at Augusta National.
Sam, how much did the golf course change over the years? The speed of the greens, for example, at Augusta National?
Well, they're very fast. I think the last year that I won, the greens were as fast as I've ever seen them.
Did you guys prefer them that fast, you and Ben and Byron and all the fellas at that time?
Not me.
Why not?
But you know, I putted them fairly well because I was playing iron clubs well, and I tried to stay below the hole. The minute you get above the hole, you had some problems.
You've said a lot of times that you weren't a great putter from 6 feet and in, and history shows that you've been a great lag putter, but you couldn't have missed too many when it counted and still won almost 200 golf tournaments.
Well, my putting was up and down. I know if I could have shot 69, I would have won 9 U.S. Opens, the last round. So I'd have one good round of putting, one so-so, but always have one. It was awful.
How good was Hogan's putting when he was at his best?
Well, he was the best out there, I think, with the wand.
Amazing, because when people think of him today, we think of the times past his prime when he started to have trouble with the putter, which eventually forced him off the tour. He wouldn't play golf so that people couldn't see him have trouble pull that blade back.
Well, he putted very well in our playoff in '54. And on the 16th hole, we were both almost within 6 inches of each other, and I was away. And when I hit my first putt, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm 7 feet past the hole." It only went a foot past. And I got over and just ready to strike at a guy in the gallery across the creek, hollered, "Miss it!" Everybody turned around and looked at him, and he just melted right down to the ground. And I tapped mine in, and I told my caddy, I said, "He'll never get this putt to the hole." And he left about 5.5 feet short. And that was the only sign that I saw that he was going to get there, that he hit a turbo putt there with a little yick and short right.
Little twitches, huh?
But all in all, he and I were partners, and he didn't say very much. When we were playing over in England, he said, "Damn that Roberto Di Vincenzo." I said, "Ben,
why'd he
just
say
keep the heat on." I said, "You'll get it." And I played better than he did after the first 4 holes, every round. But he collared me the first 4 holes, it seemed like. But as I said, he didn't talk even to his partners with Jimmy DeMert.
You're away, right?
Well, I respected that. He said, "Hey, I can't just, hey, Mary, hey, how Joe, how the kiddies?" He said, "Can't do that. I'm trying to do my best from here to there."
And it
I
worked for him.
respected from that. And I'd never watch him hit the shot. I'd watch him tee up, get his little waggle, set the club down, then I'd look down the fairway, wouldn't watch it swing.
Because it was so fast, right?
Well, he shortened up his swing considerable. You know, they call him, he swings the club like Alice Bauer. Well, the club pointed to the ground like Daly. When
When he was in his 30s, right?
well,
Or in the 1930s.
it seemed about the 3rd round, red greens would pop up. You know what that is? That's
77.
77.
You betcha.
And then they'd run by him, and so he decided he had to change his swing, get a swing that he could rely on and could be more continuous doing the same thing.
And we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Slammin' Sammy Snead right after this. Don't go away.